recorded. Okay. So now we're recording. So feel free to turn on your camera, but when you're not speaking, please, I encourage you to mute yourself so that we can hear the person speaking clearly. Like I said, my name is Edima, and I am currently the president of the African Professionals Network of Ireland. We are a network of professionals based in Ireland, mostly run our events in Dublin and virtually. The aim of our organization is to provide platform where members of our community would connect, collaborate, and empower each other. So we run a few programs over the years, whether it's for professionals looking to elevate their career, to business owners and entrepreneurs who are looking to expand and grow and scale their businesses. So today's session really is going to focus on one of the supports that we provide for businesses, ways you can secure capital through loan for your business. And more specifically, we'll be hearing from Microfinance Ireland CEO, who'll be sharing the sort of businesses that they support, how you can apply for business loans, and most importantly, what they look out for ideal businesses. So just quickly gonna go through our agenda for today. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Did a bit of the opening earlier on, but following on for the rest of the evening, we're going to meet our speakers, who is Philipa Kelly, who is the CEO and co-founder of Samanta and 2024 APNI Lions Den business pitch competition winner. And then we're going to hear from Des, who is the CEO of Microfinance Ireland. Then we'll go into an interactive session with Philipa, and then you get to ask questions as well. You have the opportunity to ask questions. And then we'll wrap it up and call it a night. So without much further ado, meet our speakers. So our speakers for tonight is Des. Des just going to quickly read his bio. He's CEO of Microfinance since May 2021. He's very much an experienced professional with over 30 years of experience in commercial banking, leading transactional client-facing teams. So I always believe that the story is much told not by the hunter, but the owner of the story. So I'm sure Dave will share more. Then joining us for tonight as well is Philipa. So Philipa, very interestingly, was born in Romania to Hungarian and Nigerian parents. So she speaks fluently English, Romanian, and Hungarian with a BSc in economics and marketing. She has over 12 years of experience in interpreting industry. And she's worked with a couple of healthcare organizations, law enforcement organizations, government. And recently, she started up a new venture called Samanta, which is an AI 24 hours translator app. She's going to share a bit more around that area and how she's been able to navigate, challenges that comes with starting up your own business, especially as someone from an ethnic minority background. So without much further ado, enough of me talking. So I'm going to hand over and pass over to Des to start sharing his presentation.
It says sharing is not turned on.
Okay, give me a second. I just made you a host there, so you should be able to share your screen.
Hopefully it's the right one. Okay, yeah. So good evening, everyone. As Edima said, my name is Des McCarthy. I'm CEO of Microfinance Ireland. And I'm really grateful to Edima and APNI for giving me the opportunity to present to you this evening. And quickly at the start, could I just ask you to virtually raise your hand if you've heard of Microfinance Ireland before this evening? Whoops. No hands raised. So, well, that's Oh, there's one in Ngozi. Well, that's excellent. There is one. But I suppose the reason I ask is that you're obviously a network of African professionals, and if you do not need money for business yourself, you're going to know people who might need finance to start or grow a business. So it's important for us to build awareness among your network, and so that you can spread the word for us. And it was interesting that Ngozi was saying that she started her business because she couldn't see people like herself in the wine trade and the alcohol trade. And I think if somebody said, well, actually, I can't identify with the clients of Microfinance Ireland, I think that would be a fair criticism of us. And one of our goals is to be more diverse, to reach out into all different networks to try to promote our business and to grow representation and loans to all ethnic groups. So in terms of this evening, what I want to do is give you a high-level overview of who we are, what we do, who can avail of our products, and how we evaluate applications. So in terms of introduction, Microfinance Ireland is a government-supported lender to micro-enterprises that have difficulty getting bank finance. So we get money from the government through grants, and we distribute those grants to small businesses that can't get money from the banks. We've been in existence since 2012. And while we're Dublin-based, we're a national organisation, and we have representatives located throughout the country. And over 75% of our business is to businesses based outside of Dublin. And in 2023, we processed almost 1,000 applications, and we have plenty of capacity to lend. So we want to lend more. And we provide loans of up to 25,000 to startups and established businesses. We don't need a formal bank decline letter, but it is an important part of our assessment process, in that when we're doing our evaluation, we have to ensure or get ourselves comfortable that the business won't be able to get commercial bank financing. And the reason for that is, as I said, we're government funded, and the government want to make sure that that money goes exactly where it's meant to go to. It's helping those people who can't get money elsewhere. We don't require security for our loans, so the loans are unsecured, which is one of the hurdles that a lot of people who are looking for money come up against, that people ask them for security and they don't have it, because they're only starting out. But we don't require security. And our interest rates are fixed for the duration of the loan. And the reason for that is it gives certainty to borrowers as to the amount of loan repayments and the loan costs that they're going to have to pay over the life of the loan. And our rates are certainly low by comparison to the level of risk that we're prepared to take. So our rates currently are 6.5% or 5.5% if you submit your application through the local enterprise office. And we have a very close relationship with the local enterprise office. And we would always encourage people to, as one of the first stops in terms of starting a business or thinking of starting a business, is to go to your local enterprise office, because they will provide you with advice, but also potentially with grants and things like that. So it's always good to check them out, because free money is not always easy to get. So we've no fees for the setup of the loan or the ongoing administration of the loan, and the loans can be repaid at any time without penalty. And we're happy to lend to most business types. So sole traders, limited companies, and partnerships. The only structure we don't lend to is companies limited by guarantee, which tend to be charities. But other than that, we lend to all business types. So who can apply? Well, I suppose there are a few criteria that must be fulfilled in order to apply for a loan from us. First of all, we must be a micro enterprise, and that's defined as a business that has fewer than 10 full-time employees and turnover less than 2 million. And over 95% of businesses in Ireland are actually micro enterprises. So most businesses would fall into that. You must create or sustain at least one full-time job in the Republic of Ireland. And that full-time job can be the job of the owner or the promoter of the business. And and the business owner must be living in Ireland. So the money is coming from the Irish government, and the jobs and the owner must be based in Ireland. And finally, I think the most important thing, as I said, is that you must find it difficult to get loans from the traditional bank network. Now, there are a few restricted sectors, and Ngosi's not going to like this, but unfortunately, distilled alcohol is something that we cannot fund. So tobacco, casinos, distilled alcohol, R&D, and debt restructuring or bridging are also things that we can't fund. And part of that is due to the fact that we get a partial loss guarantee from the European Investment Fund, and they are very strict on distilled alcohol. Brewed drinks are okay, but distilled ones, unfortunately, are not. There are some other restrictions, and these can be found on our website there, which is www.microfinanceIreland.ie. So moving on to the loan types. Our loan types are fairly straightforward. Effectively, we have one loan structure, which is an unsecured term loan repayable over a 3 to 5 year period. We don't provide revolving credit facilities. We don't provide credit cards. We don't provide overdrafts. We simply provide term loans. The flexible term loans, but they're term loans all the same. And term loans, just so that you know, are loans that you draw down on day one, you repay over a 3 or a 5 year period, and then at the end you have nothing left to pay us, and you've paid off your loan. But you can't, for instance, you can't pay back if you have a better cash flow than you expected. You can't make a payment and then redraw that payment. Once you make a repayment, that money is no longer available. It's cancelled. So we have some tailored features, including an interest-only period for startup loans, which allows startups to build up trade before having to commence full interest and principal payments. That interest-only period can be up to 6 months, so it gives the startup the opportunity to build up their trade before they have to make full payments. There's a small loan up to 5,000, which has a less onerous application process, and then we have expansion loans, again term loans, and they're used for some form of capital expenditure, either for building works, for fitting out of premises, maybe buying new equipment, and that they're normally repayable over a 5 year period, so the repayment term matches more closely the life of the assets. As I mentioned earlier, we work closely with the local enterprise offices, and the 1% discount in interest rate is applied through the local enterprise office. And we also provide free mentoring to most of our loan applicants, to the extent that we believe that they need the mentoring. It can be up to 4 mentoring sessions, and those mentoring sessions are paid for by Microfinance Ireland, but are delivered by the local enterprise offices. And obviously that's a good thing for us, because it upskills the promoter and makes it more likely that the business will be a success, and also it upskills the promoter and develops his or her business acumen and ability to make the business a success. So the type of, I thought I'd do a very short sort of case study of the type of businesses, a typical business that we would see. So this is a fairly typical case. And it's a startup coffee shop based in the west of Ireland. The owner had not run any businesses before, but had plenty of experience in hospitality, retail, and customer service and businesses like that. So they had good experience, but they hadn't actually run their own business before. The business was a complete startup, so it was pre-revenue, it was pre-trading, and needed a loan to buy some essential equipment. The business owner applied for a microfinance loan of 25,000, and we approved the full 25,000. In this case, the business promoter had some money to put into the business. Not all of our promoters have money to put into the business, and we're still able to fund to look at funding that. It's not a prerequisite that a promoter needs to put equity in. And we understand, because of the nature of our borrowers, that not everybody has money to put in. Then, as the business was in the startup phase and pre-revenue, we structured the loan with the 3-month interest-only period to let business get started before repayments kicked in. Interestingly, in anticipation of starting this business, the promoter had completed a start your own business course with the Leos, and they run tons and tons of start your own business courses, which I think they charge about €150 for, but I've never heard anybody say that they were say a bad word about them. That they've always said that they're really, really good courses, and worth your while signing up for if you're looking to start a business. Promoter also use the Leo's digital skills courses to try to upskill in those areas. And then we made it a condition of our loan that the promoter would complete 4 mentoring sessions paid for by us and focused on marketing and finance. So, in terms of that particular application, I would pick one that we received the application on the 8th of January, and we had it approved by the 17th of January. So it was within our SLA. So I could have picked one, I guess, maybe that was done quicker or longer, but that just happened to be the case there. So in terms of the application process, I suppose looking at the application process, so if you've applied for a loan from a bank that is not your own bank, then this process is familiar. We ask for quite a bit of information, and that's because we know nothing about you. Sometimes people say, well, if I ask my own bank, they don't ask for all of these things. Well, that's because in a lot of cases, they have a lot of that information. They don't need bank statements because they see all of your bank statements. They know what your personal credit rating is, so they don't need that sort of information. Often they wouldn't need accounts because they see your business accounts if you're existing with them. So in order to apply, currently you register on our website, and we'll send you an email with the application pack. Alternatively, you can visit your local enterprise office. We're in the process at the moment of a soft launch of an online portal, which will take away all of that and will be a much more seamless online application process, which is much better customer experience. But that will be, we're as I say, we're soft launching at the moment. It's probably going to go fully launched sometime in September. But for the moment, you need to register, and then we'll send you out the pack. You need to fill in the application form, including the business plan, and provide the 12 months cash flow projections. And look, if a lot of people are find it daunting to do the cash flow projections, but like there's lots of we have some training on our website around cash flow projections, but also the local enterprise office will help you with your application if you go to them if you're having difficulty. We need 6 months bank statements. Our new process will have an open banking third-party integration on that, so you'll actually be able to simply allow us to see your statements, and won't have to upload any of the statements or anything like that. And I suppose if you're a limited company, we'll need to see your personal credit rating report as well from the Central Credit Register. All of these things are available online, so don't take that long to get. And then if you're an established business for 18 months or more, we'll look for your financial statements for that period. So it's not unusual to ask for that stuff, but some people, when they see it, they think, wow, that's an awful lot of information. But as I say, it's because we know nothing about you, and we want to give you the best chance to be able to get a loan from us. And I suppose I can't emphasize enough, your local enterprise office will assist you if you're finding it hard to put all of this together. And it's in their interest, and it's in your interest to talk to them, because as I say, they will you'll get a 1% discount on your interest rate, but also you may well find that they'll provide you with free mentoring, and also potentially grant fund, depending on the business. So you need to submit your application to applications@microfinanceireland.ie. Again, that's the current system. You know, by September, it'll be straight through. You won't need to do that at all. And then just it's important that you've submitted all the documents, because we can't start start evaluating the loan until we get all of the documents. And that's something that's some people find very frustrating, but as you can imagine, what we need to do is to make sure that we have the suite of documents that we can make the decision on, and that allows us to deliver on our a customer promise of a 10-day turnaround a 10-day turnaround period. Then in terms of our assessment, so I suppose the first thing we do is we conduct an interview, and we have a panel of assessors that we use, and one of those will be assigned to your case. And once we received all the documents, we assign the assessor. And the assessor would have a conversation with you. We used to actually have a face-to-face with everybody before COVID. Since COVID, it's mainly either Zoom calls or phone calls. And this is a really important piece of our evaluation, because for the loans that we're giving, because there's no security, because they're generally high risk, because you can only apply if you can't get money elsewhere. We're really taking a view on the promoter and the promoter's motivation and ability to run this business, and will they make a success of it, and do they have the energy and the resilience to do that? And I suppose the assessor in that interview will go through your application to ensure that we fully understand your business, and to give you the opportunity to put your best foot forward. I mean, our role is to support business. We're mandated by government to support business, so we want to try our best to reach a positive outcome. That's our mandate. Things that we will try to understand is, I suppose, your experience and the skills, and you know what you have that will make the business a success, and the motivation of as to why you're starting that business. You know, we need to understand why you believe your business will succeed. You know, we need to understand what market research have you done, and focusing on like why you believe your service or product will be bought by people, and why will people buy it from you rather than from one of your competitors. Those are the kind of the key things that we're going to look at, and I suppose the key things that before you do your application you need to think about. Will people buy my product? And if they will, why will they buy it from me? And who is our competitor? Because that is, you know, in a nutshell, a lot of what business is about, and success or failure in business is about. So we need to also understand what is the loan being used for, and are the costs that you're projecting realistic in terms of, if you're buying equipment, will you be able to fund the full amount of the equipment from the loan that we're providing or not? So trying to get an understanding around that. Bank statements obviously are a key piece, just really to try to understand how you manage your own financial affairs. Lots of our clients would have poor credit history, and lots of Irish people have poor credit history because of the financial crash and the drop in the property market. And that's not a declining factor for us. You know, we understand that people have had problems in the past making repayments, but it's how you dealt with them and how you've come back from them is probably more important for us. And I suppose we need to ensure that projections are realistic and cover all of the key income and expenditure items, and that, you know, to be satisfied that you can pay the bills, including our repayments, but also making a realistic payment to the business owner, because you're not doing this for free. This is your livelihood. This is your job. So you need to be able to take a wage for it, and we need to be happy that you're going to be able to cover all of those costs. If you go through the local enterprise office, well, then there will be a report that they will present. And that's a very significant piece of the application process. So, I mean, I would encourage you, if you're thinking of applying to us, to go through the local enterprise office. It's not prerequisite, but our experience is that the advice that they give you is very beneficial, and it often leads, and we have shown from our own data that the local enterprise office applications generally tend to have a higher approval rate than the direct ones. And then just in terms of the credit decision, as I said, our SLA is that we will come back with a credit decision within 10 days. Loan offer will issue as soon as the credit decision has been made, and then you have 21 days to accept the loan offer and 60 days thereafter to draw down. And then the happy day that we lodge the money in your bank account, and then the funds will flow, and the repayments will start either depending on the structure of the loan, either the following month, or we may have interest only, or maybe full payments, depending on what the structure is. So that, I suppose, is in a nutshell and a very quick run through of us and what we do. And I'm very welcome to take questions from you on that.
Thanks so much, Des. That was so helpful. The question I have is, at what stage, maybe I missed this in your presentation, at what stage should the business be at before they can apply for the loan?
Well, it can be at a startup stage, or it can be an established business. So we define a startup as anything that is less than 18 months old. About 40% of our business is with startups. So it's less than 18 months old, and a very high proportion of that would be businesses that are 0 to 3 months old. So it can be at any stage.
Okay, all right, great. I see a couple of hands up in the chat, so I'm not sure who put their hands up first. Remy or Ngozi, feel free to unmute yourself.
I think Remy had their hand up first, actually.
Yeah, I have no question this time. I put it up when he was asking about the people who know about microfinance. I guess I need to lower my hand. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, that was a phenomenal presentation, Des. I think I gained so much experience, and I know I'm in the spirit space, which is one of the kind of restricted areas, but I think the general background around, like, here's how you apply for a microfinance loan, here's what it looks like to apply, here are some of the ducks that you need in a row ahead of time, is really quite useful information for me, because most entrepreneurs, I feel like, are serial entrepreneurs. So you kind of lodge information so that in your next venture you can use it. My question is about what happens after. So you've drawn down funds, and then is there any reporting typically that needs to be done? Any investigation as to the use of funds, the utility of funds, mentoring thereafter? Or I suppose most of my question might be around, like, how does Microfinance Ireland continue to support the entrepreneur startup? And then a follow-up question to Adima's question is about what a startup is categorically. So I know in the VC space, you have like pre-seed, Series A, Series B, etc. For the definition of a startup for you, is it after you've established a minimally viable product that has the potential to scale? So it's like past ideation, maybe 2 steps in when you're ready to prototype? Or is it from the inception of the business plan? How do you measure the viability without a product at hand or without an MVP.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, so look, I suppose a lot of our businesses, given the nature of our the maximum loan amount, they tend not to be VC type businesses. They tend to be businesses that are lifestyle businesses, are people who are looking to get financial independence, so they want to work for themselves. So it, you know, the typical butcher, baker, candlestick maker. So we have a lot of people who have beauty salons, nail bars, creches, that sort of stuff. So they tend to be B2C type businesses. So in that way, we would, I suppose, one of the things we don't fund is R&D. So we would need to see some pathway to revenue. There needs to be some degree of certainty. And the reason we need that is that we don't want to over indebt people. So I suppose a startup we're quite happy to fund, and the case study that I brought up was pre-startup, but it was a coffee shop. So it was going to get revenue very quickly. It's opened its doors, it will have cash coming in. Whereas you know, maybe in a more high-tech type of business, the revenue stream would be, or the path to revenue would be much more uncertain. So in that respect, you know, we don't really do much high-tech stuff, and mainly because our loan size is just too small. So we don't tend to see that. So that I think is the key piece. Sorry, and your first question, Ngozi?
Oh yeah, I'm even forgetting myself, but
it was about what happens after drawing down the funds.
yes, there we go.
Okay. Yeah, look, okay. So you might be surprised, like, first of all, we do provide mentoring, and you know, that's a really important piece for us. But our best customer, we're very transactional focused. We're not relationship focused. So as I said, we only deal with people who can't get money from the banks, right? And our hope is that those businesses, after the 3 to 5 year period, will have the track record that they will be able to go to the banks. So our best customer is the one that we give the money to on day one, and 3 or 5 years later, they pay it back to us, and we never talk to them again. Because if we have to talk to a customer, it's generally because they have defaulted and they're in arrears. So it sounds very odd, but we're a bit of a strange organization like that. We don't try to build relationships with our customers because we generally don't have second loans with them. So, but we do provide some businesses that come back to us and say, look, I need some more money. I still not bankable, and we're more than happy to do that. But just we generally don't have relationships, which is really strange. I came from a relationship bank, so it was a very big learning curve for me. But that's the way it is here.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. That makes total sense, and I love the part about trying to right size the type of business for Microfinance Ireland. I think the process must be really interesting, and I appreciate the insight. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ngozi, for engaging. That was a good question. Guys, any more questions for Des?
Yeah, I have a question sort of in relation to Ngozi's question about what happens after you've drawn down the funds. But I suppose when a businesses sort of continue to function, if they are unable to pay back their loans, what happens in that case? Is the sort of loan repayment sort of restructured? I don't know if the cost of the loan is sort of reduced to try accommodate that business to be able to, I don't get back on track, I suppose.
Look, yeah, I suppose we deal with high-risk borrowers, so we're well used to having to restructure loans. And there could be any number of ways that loans can be restructured by pushing out the repayment term. We generally don't reduce the interest rate. But look, I suppose we're a concessionary lender. We tend, like, we need to ensure that people are incentivized to repay us.
Yeah.
But you know, we do realize that you can't get blood from stone. So we try to get the balance right between encouraging people to repay us, yet understanding that actually there may not be anything there to repay us from, and we need to be cognizant of that. You know, we do have a collections department. It's not like the bank's collections department, but we do try to recover as much as we can, and we do deals with people, and we need to do that because the money that we are lending is taxpayers' money. So we're trying to do the best for the taxpayer, which is all of us as well.
Okay, thank you.
Amazing. So we'll move on to the next section for the evening because our time has been fast well spent. Thanks so much, Des. That was very insightful. Even for myself, I've thought about it, especially around the sort of business categories that can apply for the loans and what you look out for as well. Very informative for myself. I'm not starting a business yet, but at least when I want to start, I know where I can begin from. So thanks so much for that. So we're gonna move on to the next session for the evening, which is can you see my screen? Yep. We're gonna have an interactive session with Philipa. Philipa, are you still on the line?
Yes, I am. I'm here.
Thanks so much for joining us today. So this will be pretty much quick Q&A session. I did prepare a few questions to ask Philipa, but again, like small group, very intimate. So if there's at any point you want to add on to any questions or conversations, please do feel free to put your hand, raise your hand up in the chat or unmute yourself to speak. So Philipa, thanks for joining us. Quick intro, Philipa is half Nigerian, half Romanian. Sorry, Hungarian. I am so sorry because it speaks so much language now. I'm mixing that up. So as you can see behind her is Samanta. So she's the co-founder and CEO of Samanta, which is going to share a bit about. And then she was the Lions Den 2024 winner. So for those of you who don't know what Lions Den is our business entrepreneurship competition where we sponsor businesses who are looking for, support, not just financially. They said something about mentorship, because sometimes it's not just about the money. You also need the network. You also need the support as well. So congratulations to Philipa and team for winning this year's competition. So I suppose what we really wanted to do in this session is just to get insight from you, Philipa, around your experience running your own business. And I will start off by asking maybe share a bit about yourself and what got you started.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Philipa Kelly. And yes, thank you, Adima, very much for giving me this opportunity and also for organizing the APNI competition. It was an amazing experience. So about me, as you said, so I'm half Nigerian, half Hungarian. And the business is called Samanta. And what we do interpreting on demand. And what this means is if somebody comes to Ireland and they don't speak English, and let's say they have to go to Dublin City Council. So when they go into Dublin City Council and the staff, they realize that this person doesn't speak English, they will be able to get an interpreter in less than 2 minutes, okay, and start the communication. Okay, so we mostly work with government organizations and healthcare also, in the hospital when somebody goes in and they need an interpreter, again, the staff there will be able to find an interpreter to speak the language and help it with the communication. So I started this business a good few years back, not many years, so we are still a startup. It took a few years to build the actual technology behind the business. And I started it because the original idea behind it was that in around 2014, my mom was visiting us and she got really, really sick. And she was in the hospital, and of course she had no English. So I had to go with her to the hospital every single time when she was in the hospital to help her. And the hospital were able to provide an interpreter only on very few occasions. So this is when I've seen that, there is a need on the market. And this is actually really, really important for people who are in the hospital and they don't speak English. And of course, it is very important even for the doctors dealing with these patients. So I could see the need on the market. So first of all, I started working as an interpreter just to help people and just to understand and learn about the market. And then I decided to start a business. And I decided to start a business because I was always, I feel like I was born as an entrepreneur. Okay, so always having ideas. So over the years, we had a lot of family businesses. We actually still have a wine business at the moment. And so I always wanted to do something, but I always wanted to do something to help people and something what can be global. And I feel like with Samanta, we actually I cover the both. Okay, so we help people to communicate, and this will be a global business. It will be everywhere in the world. So that's my motivation and background in starting Samanta.
Very good. Thanks so much for sharing. I love how you shared the personal element. Yeah, it can be. Can you hear me? It can be difficult to a country where language can be a big barrier. So I suppose besides what challenges have you faced so far since you started your business? And how did you overcome those early challenges?
One of the main challenges was the knowledge, having the knowledge of starting or doing and building a tech startup. Okay, so every other business I've done or I had, it was completely different. Maybe it was selling products or selling different type of service, also product-based, but not a tech business. Okay, so I'm not a tech person. So even just getting in this space, getting the knowledge, getting finding out how to start other than incorporating a business, but finding out how you do the networking, where do you go, where do you get help from. So I've done the New Frontiers programs. I've done New Frontiers 1, 2, and 3, but even just finding out where do you find them. Also learning the vocabulary they use in this business. Okay, but all these accelerator programs will teach you. But the most difficult was getting into the network. Okay, but then when you are in, you are in. If you start networking, you can always ask and people will tell you, and people are always very open to help. Mm-hmm. So that's the challenge, just getting in there. But when you are there, you'll get a lot of help.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds like you're doing what you've always loved and wanted to do. And that network is very important and very key. That's why for APNI, it's very important for us to create platforms where we might not be able to provide the support, but we can speak to companies and bring individuals that will provide that support and network for business and business owners. And speaking on, I know one of attendees did highlight the difficulty when it comes to like access to capital and stuff. Can you describe maybe from your experience, was accessing capital easy for you, and funding? How did you find that experience?
Okay, so up to now, we practically bootstrap. We got some type of investment for the tech from the actual tech company who built our technology. Okay, and this is in a convertible loan note. We just started our fundraising journey. Okay, we are raising a big amount of money and a seed, pre-seed, seed in the next 2 years. And yeah, it is a long journey. Okay, but what I see is that we actually had to learn to get here. So I can see companies, even competitors of ours, who got money too early, and they don't know the market. Well, up to now, we actually worked and did a lot of research, and we have a solid build of our business. So we are ready now to get the money to be able to grow. Okay, so we are actually only starting now, talking to investors. We would like to get investment from angel investors. That would be our preference instead of VCs. But yeah, so we don't really have the experience of how we got the money yet, because we don't have the money yet. But we put together all the documentation we need. We've done a lot of research. So, when we are talking to an investor, we will be able to show what we have and how are we gonna reach the milestones we are planning to reach.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of learning experience and learning journey as you go. Doesn't sound like you need to know everything figured out before you get started. So kudos to your team so far. But like you said, when you speak to investors or looking for VCs or whatever the case may be, I'm not one to ask certain questions like this, but has there been a case where someone may have looked at, whether it's your race or whether it's because of who you are before they want to talk to you or decline meetings and stuff like that?
I'm actually not sure about it, okay? Because people will not really tell you why. Okay, so I would say all our conversations now were successful. Now, I recognize that I have an advantage, that I look a little bit European. The discrimination doesn't come in as early as it would come in if I would look completely different. Okay, so the fact that I'm female, I don't think, I think these days, from investors' point of view, actually they want to encourage female and to support female founders. Okay,
Yeah.
and to support any founders. But I feel this is the right time actually for female founders, because everyone, they wants to kind of embrace what they are doing and help them.
Yes, yeah. That's very impressive. I know this was off the line. He was sharing how he's meeting a lot more female founders more of recent and stuff. So it's really great to hear that there's encouragement for representation, across boards when it comes to businesses and starting up new ventures and stuff. You did say something around like networking and support. How has that been important when it comes to your business growth? And maybe let me even self-plug APNI business pitch competition that you attended. You had, I think 4 weeks ago, actually, about a month ago. Would love to hear if that had expanded your network or helped your business to grow.
So networking. Before I never really believed in it, but now I can see every time I go to a networking event, I'll get something out of it. Okay, it might not be what I expect, but there will be something. Like, just as an example for APNI, other than winning the prize, we met somebody who since then joined our team as a non-executive director. And if he wouldn't have been there, or if this person wouldn't have been there, that wouldn't have happened. So practically nearly all my team, I have actually an amazing team who all believe in me and in the business. And they all came through some type of networking event, okay? Meeting them and talking to them and liking the idea, liking me and joining me. So right now I have an amazing bunch of people. We work together in this project, And yes, as I said, they all came from networking. And then APNI really brought us some really good people who it is important to know. And since then, we keep in touch and getting help from them if we need help.
That's very good. Very nice to hear that the competition was important. Well, will I say important to the growth of your business, but at least played a role in it. So just back to the competition, just for the rest of the guys who are on the call that may not know, do you mind maybe describing, tell us why you decided to join the competition? And can you say why it's important to join the competition? This is from when you sent in your application. Remember, you sent in your pitch deck. We had to send it to independent set of committee to go through your deck before you made it to the top 3 and then the live pitching. So share a bit about why you joined the competition, how you found the competition, and why it's important for people to join.
So personally, I knew about this competition even last year. I can't remember if I applied or not. But anyway, this year I decided, when I've seen it, I decided, yes, I want to apply. And it was very important for me because my African heritage, and I was never ever recognized as African. And I was like, no, I have to prove myself I am, and I belong there. So that was my first idea why I joined. Then we sent in the first pitch deck. It was actually a really, I won't call it tough, a really good experience, learning experience, because you had to send in one pitch, then send in another pitch, then send in. So you always had to improve whatever you had done. Okay, so step by step, you had to send in more and more things. And then we got help and support with Further. That day in Further was really unbelievable, even just help us with pitching. So it actually improved our skills, even pitching skills. It was our second time to do it. And like, it was just all of it a really good learning experience. And of course, winning it was even better. Yeah, I would really encourage anyone, just do it. It is hard, and when you get another email, please send in another something. It's like, oh no. But just do it, just go with it. Okay, it's well worth doing it, and you learn so much from it.
Yeah, I definitely love what you said about that, because some competition, where you get the opportunity to improve till you get to provide that support pre the competition day. Just I don't think maybe something Des was also a judge there at the competition as well. So providing that support for businesses, we've always wanted to do that because we understand standing in front of people, you need a little more of confidence, you need a little bit more of knowing what you're saying in front of a lot of people. So again, congratulations to you and your team. So I know our time is fast well spent. So what are your future ambitions and goals for Samanta?
Okay, so the next step is to get funding, find investors and get funding. But the big dream, it is Samanta to become the global leader for the interpreting industry in the next 5 to 7 years.
That's a very ambitious goal. And I'm very sure that you will get there. Maybe one more question, because you never know who may be listening to this recording afterwards. What support would you need to get you to that goal?
At the moment, really what we need is money to be able to build the team. Okay, we already have a really good team, okay, but all of us are working for free, okay, day and night working for free on this. But we need to get a support team, interpreter support, tech support. We need to enhance the technology as well. So first of all, money and build a team is what we need.
All right, money and build a team, very important.
With the money.
So closing thoughts just for myself, so I'll leave it to the audience to ask question is there anything you would like to share about your experience as should I say a person of color business owner? To say, for example, someone is just listening, they want to start, and they feel, oh my gosh, like you did say to yourself, you had to prove to yourself that you belonged in the community, obviously, because if the competition was being sponsored by APNI, right? But imagine someone who is like myself, just listening, I want to start, but I don't know where to start. If I start, I'm a Black person, do you get what I mean? What can you say from your experience just to encourage someone to get up and do it?
First of all, color doesn't matter. Okay, so don't think into color, think into the business. Okay, what can you do to improve other people's life or to give them something? Okay, do a lot of research and just do it. If you are passionate, and when I say passionate, okay, passionate about the business, the everyday work, it's it's very hard. It's not even hard if you like it, but it's a lot of work. Okay, if somebody tells you it's a lot of work, it's even more than that. Okay, but just do it. Okay, don't think in colors. It's not about what color you are or if you are female or not. Just do it. You will always get the support. Not everybody will like your idea, not everybody will like you, but that doesn't matter. Okay, what matters is what you do. Do it for yourself and do it for the people who actually benefit out of it.
Amazing. Very good. Love that. Do it for yourself and do it for the people who will benefit from your business. So, any questions for Philipa? Feel free to unmute yourself and ask. I have done all the asking, so I'd love to hear.
I can ask something. I wanted to give another person a chance to ask. I think what you're doing is absolutely phenomenal. I think, really, really utilizing your personal experience and creating an award-winning, because you're now award-winning venture from it is really, really, really amazing. A lot of my questions are all about like the technical skills necessary to build the business. And I know that you said that the technology company that is enabling you to create like enabling you to create Samantha gave you financial backing in order to bring it up to this point here. Can you talk through that kind of conversation you have with them about them supporting you guys? Was there I suppose a promise of return of investment at some point, so they would help you and then they would receive a continuous percentage, or what was that negotiation process between them? And then the second thing is just thinking about the going from like just the idea into the iteration that you have now. Were there any points in time where you thought to yourself, are we actually building a product that is best use for I suppose the best fit for our users and users? How did you test your the usability, desirability, and feasibility of your idea? And what was that sample size? How many people did you feel like you had to run the idea by before you had enough data to continue?
Okay, so let's start with the first question. How it all started with the tech company. We met them in 2020 in the summer. So I was already thinking about it. And when I met them first, they are very, very nice guys, the owners of the company, and they have a big tech team and UI and UX designers. So when we first met, we just had kind of an intro and, what I want to build and if they can do it. And the most important thing was that we actually liked each other, okay? And we felt like, yeah, we could work together. And they were kind of a startup as well. They didn't have many projects, and we were really a startup. So I said, look, give me a price. So when they gave me the price, I said, okay, it's a good price, but the problem is that I actually don't have the money to pay for it. And they said, okay. I was like, what can we do? So I suggested, what about I pay 20% of 25% of this price,
Mhm.
and you invest 75%, and you get a percentage of the company. So that was initially. So they agreed to it, but then we renegotiated all that, and we said, okay, instead of getting a percentage in the company, let's do a convertible loan note. So that will convert into shares at a later time.
Got you.
Okay. So I feel like all tech companies, if you find the right tech company to work with, they're always open to negotiations. Just think that you are talking to people, okay? They are just people like you, and they want to do business. So feel free just to negotiate. Tell them your situation, okay? Tell them your situation. Feel free, tell them your situation, and then you'll find out if they are willing to do it in your terms and they can help you, then they are the right people to work with.
Got you.
That's
Okay.
really good.
Yeah.
That's some good negotiation skills, because usually some people be like, oh my gosh, I can afford it, bye. But I think it's being very creative in let's say when you want something, think of creative ways where you can get the solution and things done. Very good question, actually.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
It's always, I think, one of my best attributes is my negotiation skills. So yeah, I always find a way. I always find a way. And it's not necessarily my way, but we'll find a common ground for everything.
Amazing. Very
And your second question, I can't remember it all, but I just made a few notes. So before we started, I was working in the interpreting industry, and I did a lot of research. I did a lot of research, like in hospitals with solicitors, in the courts. So I worked in healthcare. I worked in the courts Ireland with the guards. So I've done a lot of research with them of what would they need and how would they use it and what would help them for them to make their everyday work easier. Okay, so I spoke to probably about 500 people working in the public sector. And then I also worked, because I worked as an interpreter, I knew the background of an interpreter. So I did a lot of research with other interpreters as well. So again, we knew what would make their life easier and how, there are really poor working conditions for interpreters, face-to-face interpreters. So how can we improve that? How can we improve their lives? How can we improve the way they make money to make more money, have less expenses and all that. So we've done a lot of research, first of all. So this is how we actually kind of came up what would be the best fit. Okay. And then we tested also, yes, the usability, feasibility. We tested it. So our first pilot, so again, we kind of made a mistake in the meaning that we actually built a product. We didn't build an MVP. And I tell you why we built a product, a ready product, and not an MVP, because at the time, I didn't know, again, I didn't know that this is what you do. You build an MVP and then you build the rest. No, we kind of jumped into it, build the product, and yeah. But anyway, so we kind of learned the long and expensive way, but we know now. We know now what's the right way to do it. So we've done our first pilot. So when the app was ready last year in September, we did our first pilot with citizen information offices. And so them just using it and just see their feedback. We've done a big research with them. How many people? So for us, it's not necessarily how many people are using it. So it's not like an app, where you need to have 50,000 subscribers. Okay, we need to have 2, but good ones. okay, who use the app. And then we need to have enough interpreters to be able to serve them. Okay, so for 2 clients, we practically need maybe 24 interpreters.
Wow.
Okay, so it's not about the big numbers. The big numbers, it's in calls, but not in users.
Okay.
And
Oh,
sorry, one last question. And are your clients typically, and you said most people you interviewed are like work in public service, are your clients, you know, larger establishments, organizations, conglomerates, so that when you're managing your accounts and you have 2 accounts, they're like huge accounts so that it makes for, I mean, I feel like if you're, I don't know many hospitals in Ireland, but like if your client is like Crumlin Hospital versus like me, as a user on the app, you'd prefer to go chase, or not chase, but go for a larger account rather than an individual. Is that your approach?
Okay, so our business model, it is B2B, okay,
B2B,
which means we actually go after bigger clients.
Perfect. Yeah.
Anybody, you know, an individual can just go in the app and pay, you know, with their card and use the app. Okay, that's open to everyone. Use the app, hire an interpreter. But we don't go after individuals. We go, yes, after a hospital, you know, after bigger organizations. But now remember, we are a startup. Okay, so even if we take in a big organization, we take a small of it. Okay, so and this is because, you know, we can premature growth. Okay, so we actually, if we would get now Tala Hospital in, we wouldn't be able to service them. Okay, because we don't have actually, you know, the support team to be able to service them. So we get the clients, but we always say, okay, let's have a paid pilot with you, and then we'll grow it from there, depending on your needs. Now, when we get investment, then we will be able to say, okay, we can get in a big client, we'll have enough people behind us to support their needs.
Amazing. You guys are doing phenomenal work. Congratulations again. And I appreciate your response to all of my quite detailed questions.
Yeah. Every time I hear what Philipa and Tim are doing, sounds very impressive and sounds pretty much like the future is so much bright for Samantha. Sorry, we are going over our time now, so we'll pretty much wrap up. Do we have any more questions for Philipa? If not, we'll call it a night. Looks like the weather is looking a bit brighter compared to last night. Very typical of Irish summer. Or anybody have any questions for Des? Des, thank you so much for sharing. Just one thing, would we have access to the slides so we can share to those?
Sure, absolutely, of course, yeah, absolutely. And if anybody has any other questions, feel free to contact me. Would be delighted to hear from you.
Yes. So you can they reach out to you on LinkedIn?
Yeah, on LinkedIn, yeah, absolutely. You'll find me there.
Awesome. So I'm just gonna go back so people can get your name. So that's their name. So if you want to connect on LinkedIn, we've done the Q&A. So that brings me to the last bit. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. And if you're not yet involved with APNI, this is how you can get involved. You can sign up to our website to be a member. You can speak to your company about APNI and engage with us on social media. And if you're not following us on social media, please do. We're on Instagram, LinkedIn, and that's our website address there for you, and our email as well if you want to reach out to us. So that is all for tonight, for today. Thanks so much for joining. Have a great evening. So the team would work on the recording and probably send it to everyone at the end of the week or early next week. Thanks again for your time and have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Bye-bye,
See ya.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye.